South Africa needs electricity to keep going. Eskom, the main electricity company, is super important for this. For a long time, Eskom has powered homes, businesses, and everything else. But Eskom is in big trouble. And that means South Africa is in trouble too. Eskom has a lot of debt, the power goes out a lot. And this could hurt South Africa's economy. To understand why, we need to look at how a tricky fraud scheme stole billions from Eskom. Imagine people who work at Eskom, people who can get into the computer systems, stealing from the company. That's what's happening with prepaid electricity. This complicated scheme has cost Eskom billions of rands. Criminals hack electricity meters, work with dishonest vendors, and even get Eskom employees to help them create fake prepaid electricity tokens. These fake tokens look real, so people use them without knowing they're not really paying for electricity. Eskom workers help the criminals trick the system. They know how things work inside Eskom, so they can steal lots of electricity every day. Stealing electricity is a huge problem for Eskom. In 2024 alone, Eskom lost 23 billion rand because of electricity theft, a lot of it from this tricky fraud scheme. Because of this, Eskom can't fix things or make them better. It also can't pay back the money it owes. Because of all this stealing, everyone else has to pay more for electricity. This makes things hard for families and businesses. It also makes it hard for Eskom to borrow money because people don't trust them. Stealing electricity isn't just a crime, it hurts everyone in South Africa. A big problem at Eskom is corruption. It's not just a few bad people, it's a problem all over the company. Investigations show that Eskom workers at all levels are working with criminals outside the company. And these greedy people are stealing billions of rands from their own company. The corruption is everywhere, from workers changing meters to bosses ignoring what's happening. Because no one gets punished, people keep stealing. This makes it almost impossible for Eskom to stop the fraud. Because everyone is so angry, Eskom is trying to fix things. The public outcry has been immense, with people demanding accountability and transparency from the power utility company. The frustration is palpable, and Eskom knows it cannot ignore the voices of the masses any longer. It's a huge job, but they've started to make some changes. The scale of the task is daunting, involving not just quick fixes, but comprehensive overhauls of the entire system. Engineers and technicians are working around the clock to ensure that the power grid becomes more reliable and efficient. Eskom hired experts to investigate the prepaid electricity scheme. These experts are delving deep into the intricacies of the scheme, scrutinizing every detail to uncover any irregularities or fraudulent activities that may have occurred. They want to find out everything that happened, who did it, and how to stop it from happening again. The goal is to ensure that such issues are identified and rectified, preventing future occurrences and restoring public trust in the system. Already, some important people at Eskom have lost their jobs, and some people have been arrested. The crackdown on corruption and mismanagement is in full swing, with authorities taking decisive action against those found guilty of wrongdoing. Eskom is also fixing its computer systems to make them safer. Upgrading the IT infrastructure is a critical step in safeguarding the company's operations against cyber threats and ensuring the integrity of its data. They're making it harder for criminals to hack in. By implementing advanced cybersecurity measures, Eskom aims to protect its systems from malicious attacks and unauthorized access, thereby securing the power supply for the nation. Eskom is also making new rules about buying things and making it safer for people to report problems. These new procurement policies are designed to enhance transparency and accountability, ensuring that all transactions are conducted ethically and efficiently. These are just the first steps, but they give us some hope that things can get better. The journey ahead is long and challenging, but with these initial measures, there is a glimmer of hope that Eskom can turn things around and build a brighter future for everyone. Eskom owes a lot of money, not just from the stolen electricity. The state-owned power utility has been grappling with financial mismanagement and corruption for years, leading to a massive debt burden. This debt isn't just a number on a balance sheet. It has real-world consequences for millions of South Africans. They owe a lot of money to Johannesburg, South Africa's biggest city. Johannesburg, a bustling metropolis, and the economic hub of the country relies heavily on a stable electricity supply to keep its industries and businesses running smoothly. The city's infrastructure and daily life are deeply intertwined with Eskom's ability to provide consistent power. In November 2024, Eskom owed Johannesburg 4.9 billion rand, and they'll owe another 1.4 billion rand soon. This mounting debt is a ticking time bomb, threatening to disrupt the lives of ordinary citizens and the operations of businesses that depend on electricity for their day-to-day activities. This is causing a big fight, and Johannesburg might lose its electricity. The potential for blackouts looms large, casting a shadow over the city's future. Residents are already experiencing intermittent power cuts, and the situation could worsen if a resolution isn't found soon. Eskom hasn't been careful with its money, cities haven't paid their bills, and the government hasn't been helpful. The mismanagement at Eskom is compounded by the failure of municipalities to settle their debts, creating a vicious cycle of financial instability. The national government, meanwhile, has struggled to implement effective reforms to stabilize the power sector. Eskom wants to raise the price of electricity by a lot next year, but Johannesburg doesn't want that. The proposed tariff hikes have sparked outrage among residents and businesses alike, who argue that they are already paying too much for an unreliable service. Protests and public outcry have become common as people demand accountability and transparency from Eskom. This fight shows how much trouble South Africa's electricity system is in. The ongoing conflict between Eskom and Johannesburg is a microcosm of the broader challenges facing the country's energy sector. Without significant changes, the future of South Africa's electricity supply remains uncertain, and the risk of widespread blackouts continues to grow. Eskom's problems are everyone's problems in South Africa. The power utilities crisis is not just a technical issue. It has far-reaching consequences that touch every aspect of life in the country. From the moment you wake up to the time you go to bed, the impact of Eskom's troubles is felt in countless ways. The company's money troubles, the problems with how it works, and all the corruption affect the whole country. Financial mismanagement and operational inefficiencies have led to a situation where the power supply is unreliable, and this instability trickles down to every sector of society. Corruption scandals have further eroded public trust, making it difficult to implement necessary reforms. The biggest problem is load shedding, when the power goes out to save the electricity system. Load shedding is a term that has become all too familiar to South Africans. It means scheduled power cuts to prevent the grid from collapsing, but these cuts are disruptive and often come without warning, leaving people and businesses scrambling to adapt. This is really hard for businesses and people. Small businesses, which are the backbone of the economy, suffer immensely. Imagine running a bakery and having to throw away batches of dough because the power went out unexpectedly. Families too are affected as they navigate evenings without electricity, relying on candles and battery-powered devices. Factories have to stop working, stores go dark, and even hospitals have trouble. The industrial sector faces significant losses as machinery grinds to a halt. Retail stores lose customers and revenue when they have to close early. Hospitals, which rely on a constant power supply to save lives, are forced to operate on backup generators, compromising patient care. Eskom's problems also hurt South Africa's economy. The economic impact is profound. Investors are wary of putting money into a country with an unstable power supply. The stock market reacts negatively to news of power cuts, and the overall business climate becomes less attractive. Businesses can't work well when the power goes out. Productivity drops, deadlines are missed, and the cost of doing business increases. Companies have to invest in expensive backup power solutions, which eats into their profits and makes it harder to compete. This makes it hard to get new businesses and new jobs. The job market suffers as companies are hesitant to expand or hire new employees. Unemployment rates rise, and young people entering the workforce find it challenging to secure stable employment. Electricity is also getting more expensive, which makes everything else more expensive too. As the cost of electricity rises, so does the cost of living. Groceries, transportation, and other essential services become more expensive, putting additional strain on already tight household budgets. Fixing Eskom is important for South Africa's future. The road to recovery will be long and challenging, but it is crucial for the nation's prosperity. Addressing the root causes of Eskom's problems, such as corruption and inefficiency, is essential for creating a stable and reliable power supply. It will be hard, but it's really important. Communities must come together, and the government must take decisive action to ensure that Eskom can meet the country's energy needs. The future of South Africa depends on it, and with collective effort, a brighter, more stable future is possible.